Wow, it's been a minute. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to It's All Light. I'm your host, Natalie Baugh. And I say it's been a minute because I recorded like 3 episodes one week to get ahead. And I've missed this because usually I do this every week. But since I was ahead, I hadn't needed to. And I've been traveling for work. So I'm just actually super happy to be back here chatting because I really enjoy doing this and I've already am planning out the next few weeks and I'm excited for the guests that are going to be coming. And yeah, I as soon as I sit down in this podcast chair for a chat with Nat, like a billion things start to fill my head. So first, I just wanted to give some updates in my life and some funny things that maybe you can relate to. I think part of life is just being passionate about the daily things that happen. So I'm going to just share what's been going on with me. And we'll start off with the funniest one. I wanted to get a trim because my hair was getting pretty knotty. And I, yeah, I want my hair to grow so bad. And I'm like, okay, maybe a trim will help. But curly hair is tricky because once you cut it, it's like super duper short. And I don't know if it actually helps it grow. So I also canceled my hair appointment to go blonder. Rip. I love being blonde, but I want to see if I can do the mostest to get my hair to grow. So I find this girl that I had gone to like 10 years ago who was trained by Diva Curl to cut curly hair. And yeah, so I called her up again and showed up at her little side house studio and she cuts the curls while it's dry, because that's how you shape them and you find all the dead ends. So she's cutting along, and it's quite a bit of hair. And I'm like looking at the floor, and it's all these cute little blonde curls. And I'm like, oh man, what's happening? And she washed it, and we did a conditioner mask. And then she kind of styled it, put in these little clips to like give it volume, and it started to dry. But then I just let it air dry. So then I left and I get in my car and I kind of like went to the side, and just pulled my hair down just to like feel it. And like probably an inch was cut off. And I just started crying. I literally was crying, you guys. Like sobbing. And I just like drove to my parents' house because I was near them. And my dad had gotten home from work and he was like, "Why are you crying?" I was like, "My hair is gone." Like it's so short. I posted a be real too and scared some friends because I had red puffy eyes and they thought the worst had happened. Anyway, so yeah, that wasn't very fun. But I've grown into it. Um, just because, like, yeah, now I know how to style it a little bit shorter. And honestly, no one can tell because with curly hair to them, it all looks the same. But to me, every day is different. Anyway, so I do appreciate the cut ends. I think she shaped it great. I think she did a great job. And I'm just getting used to a slightly shorter look. It's like barely noticeable. And I am just wanting it to grow. So that brings me to my second point, all the supplements I'm taking. Okay, so I did just start creatine, which, if you don't know about it, I feel like the biggest benefits are muscle growth and recovery as well as brain health. So yeah, look up creatine. I get the one James D. Nicolantonio recommends. I love Dr. James D. He's great. Fabulous. Follow him on Instagram. And then I take collagen powder and usually mix both of those in my protein powder. I love Just Ingredients protein powder. And then I take biotin gummies that I got from Redmond Life store, the farm kitchen store. And so I've been doing those consistently for maybe two to 3 weeks, and we will see what happens. Skincare, I'm still like, there's different things I've tried. I've been trying Sunday Riley. I got some for Christmas, and I absolutely love it. I use bio oil a lot, especially for like zit scarring. And then yeah, I use like a detoxifying mask, Redmond's clay mask, maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks. But yeah, biggest thing is yeah, taking the collagen. I really hope that'll all just help my hair, skin, and nails, and biotin as well. And then yeah, the creatine and protein powder are key. And then I've been trying to dive in more into just other healthy eating and getting so much protein. I'm not sure how much every day. I'm still exploring. I'm also exploring just what foods make me feel good and at what times of day do I want to eat because I know intermittent fasting is super common and I tend to snack a lot. So I'm trying to figure that. And then I am training for the Squaw 50. It's an ultra marathon, 50 miles. Kind of, you start at Vivian Park and you run all the way to like Hobble Creek Canyon up through the peaks and back. So I am training for that. And I'm really excited and terrified. But a lot of it, I'm reading a book called Running Your First Ultra. And a lot of it I know from training from my marathons, which is great and helpful. But there's like a whole nother aspect of when you eat, how much you eat, how you replenish and regain calories and carbs for the run, during the run, post run, pre run. There's so much to learn. So we'll have an ultra marathon episode, and I'll bring a few guests on from it that have run these ultra marathon races. I actually just met one at a work conference, so I got his contact info so we can chat more about it because I find it really interesting. And even if you're not running ultras, these are still just helpful tips to stay healthy in whatever workout regimen you're in. Anyways, so let's see. Those are our kind of more interesting type updates. I'm in a great relationship still and seeing where that takes us. And yeah, on the topic of relationships, because that is, I took a poll on my Instagram and people want to know more about dating. And I think my dating thoughts are not the most exciting necessarily, but I'm always willing to share them. One thing I do want to work on and curate better is this girl in the temple that I've met. She she was a patron and I was working, and she and I were just chatting about getting to your late 20s and still being single and what helps and how you can navigate this time in our lives. And I started spewing off a lot of great things. Not sorry, that's not meaning to like toot my own horn, but just like great things that I have learned over these past few years. And off the top of my head, I really am not thinking of like any of them. So I want to dive deeper into this maybe another time. I think the biggest thing though is when I look back to, so I was laid off in April of last year, and that was kind of a pretty trying time. I had just got back from a month in Europe, which was wonderful and awesome. And a boy had ghosted me. I think I had reached out to my ex, which is obviously so unhealthy and not great. About something random and stupid. I was in Europe and just caved toward those thoughts, which I'm so grateful that I'm in a much better place now. Anyways, so a lot of life exploring in Europe, coming home, getting fired, having a whole summer of unemployment. But I also was training for a marathon, so I was running more, eating healthy, trying to fill my time with good things because I mean, I probably wasted so much time too, just because I didn't really have a ton to do in my life. But um, I feel like I started getting in the rhythm of things and training, and then I found my new job. And yeah, I remember I had a list on my phone. It was Boys 2022, right? And it was some from mutual, some from setups, and I had them, and sometimes a picture of them, maybe things I liked about them, dates we went on, my thoughts, journaling. So by the time I met this boy that I'm dating, I felt like I was in an abundant life mentality. And I was like super excited that I finally had potential on my plate, that I had found a job, that life was going good. And I think life was going good because I was working toward so many good things and bettering myself. And everyone always says that, like when you're single, it's like, oh, just keep working on yourself and everything will work out. And I always hated that answer because I was like, I feel like I'm always working on myself and that hasn't gotten me anywhere. But this time it kind of I had built up some good routines, and felt like my life was becoming more reliable for myself, if that makes sense, like constant. And then that opened up more room for me to be open to continuously dating someone. Um, I'm trying to think of the other things I shared with her, but before those things come back to my mind, I just wanted to share a few other thoughts on dating in general, just my personal unsolicited thoughts. um, it's interesting now being in a relationship, talking about dating, and I still have many friends that are single. And even today, I was just thinking about how I still wanna hang out with all those friends, you like, when you're in a relationship, it's easy just to hang out with that person, but tonight I was like, I still wanna be social," and you can still see other people and go on group dates and things, but I think there's validity in still wanting to be social, and I think for those who are single, like, you don't have to give that up to start dating someone, and that is something I wanna refocus on because I want that to be balance in my life just because I do enjoy things like that. I've noticed myself becoming more introverted, and I find that kind of funny, but I want to maintain my energy I get from people in a connecting way. And I love throwing themed parties and I love all that stuff. So I want to hopefully, after I stop traveling busy for a few weeks, get back into that, have like favorite things party and those things that bring me a lot of joy and that I'm passionate about, which is mainly connection, but also connecting in a way and in an environment that is welcoming and fun, right? I am all about fun. So, stay tuned for maybe some upcoming parties that I want to plan and game nights and come follow me. As something I want to do more of. I teach Sunday school like maybe once a month and that's really the only time I dive deep into the New Testament, which I absolutely love the New Testament. There's so much to learn. I do love watching The Chosen. If you haven't watched The Chosen, it takes a few episodes from season one to like really get into it, at least from my experience. I was kind of scared of the first episode, to be honest. But the more I've watched it, now I'm in season two, middle of season two, and I absolutely love it. Like, it helps me just think of Jesus more personable. And I love that because I love Jesus. So, let's see. My other thoughts on dating real fast. Let me pull up my notes. Thank you for bearing with me in my podcast. You can turn this on like 2x speed, I hope, and get through it fast because I want this to be uplifting and meaningful. So I feel like the biggest thing is, like I shared before, like an abundance mentality. I think I've also shared this on another podcast episode, but the lucky girl syndrome or lucky guy syndrome, just telling yourself how lucky you are and how blessed you are. The more you focus on that, the more you'll see that in your life. Life really takes looking for those things to make it worthwhile and to enjoy the mundane. If you haven't seen the movie About Time, I highly recommend it. It's rated R, but not really R. I don't know. I think there's maybe one scene, and you'll probably know it when it comes and just close your eyes. And it's not even that kind of scene you're thinking of. It's just like an art image. Anyways, but moral of this movie is just enjoying life to the fullest and being present. In the Come Follow Me podcast I was listening to, they were talking about Jesus and how he is just perfect at being in the moment and living in the present. And I think that can help us serve others around us. The more we tune into the present moment, help us be more aware of our thoughts and our feelings. And when we serve, it just increases our capacity to love. And I've seen that time and time again. And yeah, so about time and just living in the moment and recognizing the little things that make up your day. I have been such a slacker with my journal keeping, and it's really hard because I've been out of town and I just get to the point where I'm so tired and I just go to bed and I've lost the motivation or I've lost my determination to write every night. And so I used to write the things I'm grateful for, even in my planner too, like at night, but also starting my morning off with gratitude. I'm still meditating, not as consistently, but almost every day, and I absolutely love my meditation. But I think I've seen a difference in my life without this constant lists of gratitude daily, this constant daily list of gratitude. And I want to bring that back, if not at night, but in the morning. Like if I just go to bed, which is great, I love sleep, then write the things I'm grateful for in the morning I usually do it right when I get to work. I open my planner and see what I have going on. And then I write a few things I'm grateful for and get going on my work day. Um yeah, that's that thought. I kind of segued from dating thoughts. I don't know, the more I talk to my single friends, I feel like the same conversation over and over again. And I want to try to maybe talk about breaking that. So let's see, I usually ask my friends, like, how's it going? Any guys, any potential, or any girls? And I feel like most of their answers are, yeah, maybe, or yeah, maybe there's a few, or some are not at all, right? That was me for like a long time. But from that, from that question and just gauging how they answer it, it reminds me of it does just take the people you naturally gravitate toward. And that's what Chase Fowler said in his podcast a few episodes ago. And and kind of almost recognizing your friend circle already and who do you go to, and if it's is someone of the opposite gender that you're not wanting to date, look at those traits that you're drawn to. You can have so many friends that you just connect with so well. I mean, your best friends. What does that look like? And kind of dissect that, right? Like that type of person is someone you could be really compatible with, and take those qualities and try to go out and find them, and then look at who's already in your pool, and try, experiment. Our ward did this 2-week dating experiment, and it was also taught in Tammy Hill's marriage prep class. I actually did this, back in 2018, 19, 2018. I don't even remember, but I had met this guy in my ward. We'd only hung out like twice, and then I had him go on a run with me, and I was like, "Do you wanna date me for 2 weeks?" And he was like, "Sure." So we kinda broke the rules, and he kissed me that night, which was hilarious and awesome and funny at that time in my life. And we did date for 2 weeks. I think we did a total of 4, like, dates, but I just jumped 2 feet in, which was newer for me in a sense that I didn't really know how to jump 2 feet in a relationship very well. But this one, I was, like, just trying to remind myself, like, "What does that look like?" You know, like, I went and bought him a burrito and dropped it off on his porch. I left him notes at the end of the testing center with a treat. You know, like, those things that I thought made up a great relationship. And we also had great conversations. We studied together. We shared what we were studying together. Like, I felt like it was good on that level too. And then we had an evaluation after the 2 weeks, decided not to continue dating, but remained friends for a while. He's an awesome guy. Didn't work out. I think he's now married, which is great. But yeah, just taking the opportunity to maybe date someone for 2 weeks and know that it's not final and you're just seeing if it could be a possibility. And there's so many areas of compatibility that come after commitment, which is interesting to think about. And so if there's anyone you have your eyes set on, maybe explore that with them and see if they're willing to sacrifice 2 weeks of their single life for you. The other thing is, Tammy Hall mentioned this in our dating fireside maybe like a month or two ago. And it's just dating is making friends, right? Becoming best friends, going on dates to be friends, right? Like, I say that in a way that's not like, oh, we're just friends, but in a way it's like, what does being a good friend mean to you? And like I said before, what are those qualities that make up a best friend? And then going from there and seeking out those qualities in others, being a good friend. Someone else mentioned, I might have said this before on the podcast, but spend time with married couples too, you know? It's not the worst thing to third wheel sometimes. Fourth wheel, fifth wheel. Not fourth wheel. Yeah, fourth wheel? No. No. Fifth wheel. Wow. Sorry guys, it's a little late and I'm gonna wrap up in the next 2 minutes. But yeah, just keep going. I know this is kind of like you're like, yeah, 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 we've heard this before, but it really is faith in every footstep and trust the process. And I'm still, even if you're dating someone, it's still an ongoing process. And a lot of these things that I'm sharing still apply to me in my relationship right now. And even to people who are married, continue to date and get to know each other and build that best friendship. And I think just rely on Jesus, right? He's the one who gets us through anything, right? And in Relief Society this week, we were talking about just different Christ-like attributes and how they bless and help our lives. And it was like faith, meekness, hope, and charity. And honestly, I kind of thought like, well, all of those just help you become selfless and think of others instead of yourself. So if there's someone you like, do little acts of service for them. Drop a plate of cookies off, leave a note. And then another conversation I had yesterday, I can't remember who I was talking to, but shout out if you remember it was you. It's how can I make their life easier? And I love thinking about that question, especially with someone maybe you're dating or someone you're really close with, that you know the routines or you know them better, and be like, oh, like this is a task maybe they don't love. I could do that for them. I could do their dishes for them. I could help make their bed is usually a more personal thing, but I could help them fold their laundry, like those little things that they can totally do themselves, but if you do that, it'll make their life a little easier, and I absolutely love that thought and idea. Okay, there was a few other things I wanted to talk about, but I wanna keep this episode pretty short. On my podcast or on my Instagram, I asked, "What do you wanna hear?" So dating thoughts, trivia, fasting, just my fasting experience. If you ever wanna try that, let me know. Just DM me or text me. I'm more than happy to share about that, and that kinda relates to low carb. So I was just at a low carb Denver conference, and this was just super interesting, and I kinda wanted to just share my thoughts on nutrition in general and what low carb means, which is, like, also keto. And I guess bottom line is look at the ingredients of everything you eat, and if you don't know what it is, don't eat it. And that's really hard to do. There's so much out there. Avoid seed oils, and that's another one you can start doing now. Avoid sugars, processed foods. And then just make sure you're getting your protein, your leafy greens, a mix of colors, red peppers. I don't know, you can Google so much and use Chat GPT, right? Use Chat AI and ask them meal plans. That's what I've done. I asked for a keto meal plan just to see what it would look like. I feel like the main reason keto exists is to lose weight, but there's some principles behind it that help you just to live healthy and have a high metabolic rate. Someone at the conference came up to me and was like, "Wow, you look metabolically healthy." And I was like, "That's such a great compliment. Thank you. I do nothing." I mean, I try, but I'm not extreme in it yet. And if you're interested, I can tell you some fun accounts to follow, like Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Fab Fit and Fabulous, Golden Girl, um, Sean Sean something. Yeah, these were all influencers that were at this conference and they spoke. And I was mainly working at the table, so I didn't hear their lectures. But just so many interesting things. I mean, there's a lot tied to mental health. I mean, high thyroid issues and so on and so forth. And yeah, it's all very interesting. I'm not quite down the rabbit hole yet. I'm mainly just skimming the surface and finding what matters to me and then diving more into that. Like the carnivore diet is really interesting to me, but I just think back to like moderation and all things. Definitely eat your meats and get your protein, but you can get your protein from other ways too. And I think you need a variety of it all. And you get certain vitamins and minerals and eat good salt, honestly. That really helps. And get your good electrolytes. I go off and on about stevia and natural flavors, which are in the product I work for. And I don't think they're inherently bad, but I think you can rotate through them and rotate without it and squeeze some lime into an unflavored relay that has zero natural flavors or zero stevia. Anyways, those are just little things. Yeah, coconut oils and avocado oil are great, but yeah, avoid and olive oil I think is pretty good too, but avoid canola oil, vegetable oil, seed oil, sunflower oil. Those are all no bueno. Yeah, okay. Last but not least, I asked people what they want to hear on the podcast, and hmm, my boyfriend said, "Talk about your awesome boyfriend. He's great. Shout out to him." And just figuring out things and enjoying time together and grateful for what he's teaching me and his awesome qualities. My other friend said anything on dating, which I already covered. Another friend asked staying close to the spirit. That is such a great topic, and I wish I had more to say on it. But for me, the first thing that comes to my mind is singing a hymn or a children's song out loud, maybe to yourself in the car, and incorporating some things you do on Sunday in your daily life, right? I try to listen to like a conference talk or come follow me daily. Um, but sometimes I like when a spiritual church song comes on in the midst of my day. Kind of I mean, we're supposed to remember Christ and think of him often. And anytime we just think about him, I think the spirit can fill our hearts. And and just watching those little actions. I mean, I got in a habit of swearing, but lately been trying to catch myself, and I realize I'm saying heck a lot more than the other word, just because it's such a minuscule thing, but I believe it matters, and yeah, I feel like music does bring the spirit into my life, as well as shows. Like, I love watching different shows on TV or movies. I would love to decrease my time spent doing that, but we'll see what I replace it with. Probably reading, and I'll have to work on my atomic habits. But there's totally a fill after watching a certain show. Like I just started the new season of Outer Banks. Spoiler, it's not that good, but it's one of those like back of my like when I'm doing the dishes or when I'm folding laundry, I'll just have it playing. Um, but the feeling I get after is not like the best. I mean, it's not horrible, it's not bad. They're not doing bad things or I mean, there are bad things in it, but not like that can bad. Anyways, it's more just action things. But it's also just like the feeling it puts me in, the mood it puts me in. I think I've realized it's not very uplifting. And I think that the spirit dwells in uplifting things. And so it's like I could turn on a better show, I could turn on The Chosen, I could turn on music or just have silence and be in the moment, right? Enjoy what I'm doing. My other friend asked about healthy eating and fitness. I briefly touched on both of those. Fitness, we'll start to talk a lot more with my ultra marathon training, and eating will be a part of that because you have to stay. I have to, like, I don't know, at the low carb conference, I was talking to a lady and she was like, yeah, you really don't need that many carbs. And I'm like, but when I'm running and burning carbs, she's like, yeah, but once if you get rid of those carbs or you have low carbs and once those are burned, you'll start burning fat. And I know that's true, but I also am like, in my past, carb loading has worked for me before races or in training. So I'm still exploring that. Healthy eating, though, I mean, it's just a daily effort. Sometimes I'm really good at it, sometimes I'm not. But if you're like striving for it, even if you feel like you're not, it still benefits you, you know? Like I had a few cookies tonight, but I also had some Brussels sprouts and I had a protein shake for breakfast and I had chicken for lunch and asparagus. So it's like, get those healthy things. You can still make them taste so good. And I can give you all the salt recommendations to make them taste so, so good. And then fitness, it's really hard for me to get up in the morning right now, but I got a Passive Root Canvas. I love hot yoga, hot Pilates, hot bar. I'm trying to do more of them to use my pass up. And then get out running every day. That's my new goal. But majority of the health fitness world that I'm diving into do like hardly any cardio, like maybe walking. Um, so cardio might not be the most important thing, but like for me, that's my life. So I'm gonna do that. But in addition to that, I'm gonna weight train. So I'm gonna do my harder training the beginning of the week because in the later end of the week is when I have my long run. And so I'm gonna do more arms before my big long run. But like today I did a few squats. And then trying to do abs every day. Me and my little sister, she inspired me to do a 2-minute plank. I'm at a minute and a half. Planks are hard. But yeah, just working on that core. I talked to a personal trainer and yeah, he was so helpful. And he's just like, yeah, there's certain, like my lats and my back muscles for propelling me running, are more important. And then certain parts of my legs, squats and deadlifts are the biggest things for me to work on right now. My cast will get plenty of workouts going up hills, training, and yeah, just getting outside for an ultra marathon. The biggest thing is really just getting the mileage, getting the endurance, and building that mental strength. The guy I was talking to that I met at the conference who's ran a few ultras, he said it's all mental. It really is. So here goes this exciting journey. I'm terrified. Also, I would love any supporters or any runners. They encourage people to have people run with people different throughout the race, different legs of the run. So if you are interested, let me know. It's June 10th in Provo. And yeah, other great things in my life to wrap up. I absolutely love and adore my nephew. He just turned 1, and our family went to Hawaii, and that was incredible. And the whales were phenomenal, just the coolest thing ever. And I was grateful to get some sun on my skin Vitamin D makes all the difference, it really does. And just being active and spending time with family. And yeah, what matters most to you? What makes you happy? What do you light up about? Go after those things. And it's not going to be perfect every day. And give yourself grace. That's my final thought. Give yourself grace, spread the light, and light the passion. I'll talk to y'all next week. Bye.